What's up, YouTube? Gomsy here. That's Go Make Cool Stuff Every Day. It's a stupid name. I say this in every video. It's a stupid name. I'm stuck with it. Look, I'm just wearing a t-shirt here. I'm in my kitchen. I got something that I think people will be interested in. And full disclosure, this was given to me to do a review on. This is the Imperial Star Destroyer 4D. They say it's an easy assemble. This is a model kit, and it's like a paper model kit, cardboard. I've never opened one of these before. I've seen them in person. They are remarkable. They actually look like they're built from high quality metals and plastics, but they're just made of paper. So this one is huge. This is an Imperial Star Destroyer, and look at that. That is 27.2 inches. This thing is over 2 feet long. And, they had another one of these that I've seen online. I think they're the same. I think it might have been rebranded or reboxed, but this one was recently available on Target, and it was like $53 if you bought it directly. But it comes with sheets. I haven't opened it yet, so I'm going to do that here. But it comes with sheets, and then you punch the pieces out, you follow the directions, and you build the piece until you've got this awesome Star Destroyer. And I have seen this piece built. It's 278 parts. You don't need any tools. It does need some glue, and apparently it comes with the glue. Cardstock model kit. So it's by 4D. It's a 4D build by these guys, Spin Master Games. You can see this is the info on the box. It is licensed, and it does have the cardstock sheets, the glue, and some instructions. So I am really curious about this kit. I've seen them, and I'm a little excited. However, this kit, it's massive, right? I've seen it built, I've seen it on the stand, and it's huge. So when I build it, I don't know where I'm going to put it, but holy cow, I really want to see this. So that's part one. Let me go ahead and open the box here. All right, I've got my gigantic knife. Let me cut that open. And I do all my videos. I don't have a big setup here. It's just me and a table and some cool stuff we can build, right? So you're going to see some camera shake. I apologize for that, but man, that's my life. All right, so here we go. It's got an instruction sheet. I even have water bottles and Velcro, because that's my life too. All right, I've got an instruction sheet, and let's see what this thing does here. Let's see. All right, so it's got a million pieces. All right, 278. It's got support structure. I'm just going to flip through this real quick. It looks like most of the pieces may be an internal structure. If you can see here, it's just support beams going throughout. Looks like everything is color coded. And once you've got the superstructure, or rather the internal structure of support built, you start putting on little folds for the externals and covering up that skeleton interior until ultimately you end up with a structure that looks more complete. So really cool. Actually, it doesn't look very difficult to build. You just have to make sure your folds are done properly. All right. And then more structure. Oh, it also comes with a stand. Apparently that stand is also cardboard. When I saw the stand, I thought it was plastic. So that's kind of neat. All right, let's see. Yeah, we build that, put that there. So you can see as you go through how it begins to unfold, even in the instructions, how it begins to unfold into the model kit that we expect a Star Destroyer to look like. Really neat. Yep, there we go. Okay, so I love this already. I mean, I know I can build models, but this is really cool. here's what we've got in the way of details. And everything is labeled properly. And they give you plenty of space. It's not like everything is crunched together. Also, the way they packaged this, you know, in a regular model kit, sometimes pieces fall off and like you have no idea where they go. In this case, everything is on the cardstock. It's nicely packed, nice and tight. All right, let me go ahead and I don't want to mess this up, so let me pause for a moment here, and then I will come back. You can see this is the whole kit is here in this 1.25 inch thick set of cardboard. All right, let me pause real quick here. All right, that didn't take very long. The plastic is off, and now we can see some of the sheets here. So yeah, all right. They are, how thick are they? They're a millimeter. It's really not, I don't know about cardstock. It's really more like cardboard. It's like a very thin, corrugated cardboard. It's pretty good. It feels substantial. It looks and feels actually thicker. Let me see if I can get that. It looks and feels thicker than styrene, which I am accustomed to. I've built styrene kits before, you know, plastic styrene. I think airplane models. It's actually thicker than, at least as thick as that. All right, so plenty of, here are all the sheets. It looks like I've got them all. I kind of like this. I'm excited to build this. Yeah, they were really cool. This company, I've seen them at Comic-Con before, and you know, I do cosplaying and costuming for various organizations, and I was at their booth last year as a samurai Boba Fett, and this year I went back there in Star Trek gear to their Star Wars booth, but they remembered me, and they offered me this kit. So all right, I'm going to start following some instructions here and try and get some of this stuff done. What I don't want to do is, let me turn this around here. Don't want to do is bore you to tears, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and build a few pieces, and then I'll come back and show you where we're at. But I like this. I think this is a neat kit. You know, I'm taking out the first piece here, and I thought I'd show you this. It crunches out. It makes that little crunchy sound. And the pieces come out easily. There's no flashing, you know, in plastic model kits. You have to scrape edges and stuff to make sure. These are very cleanly cut. So that's nice. I think that's going to make it a lot easier to build. And you can see how this thing is going to start to be huge. But yeah, this is cool. Okay, let me build a couple more pieces here. Okay, this actually seems important. In the instructions, it tells you what it came with. Apply glue to areas where you feel the tabs may become loose. Okay, that means you don't have to glue everything, all right? Also, here it says contents 16 cardstock sheets and glue. And it's got 2 of these little tab dealies, and it tells you what sheet they're located on. Honestly, I don't know what the heck that is. It looks like a way to press in pieces to lock them in place. So you need, or they suggest perhaps that you use these little tab lock press things, and it tells you what sheets they're on. So I thought I'd show you where the sheets are. They're labeled in the upper left-hand corner. So this is sheet A, B, there's C, and here's sheet D. So it said that those tabs were located on sheets D and E, and sure enough, there it is. So I'm going to pop that out, and here's sheet. Yep, sure enough, exactly where they said it would be. All right, so let me go back to putting some of this together. Right now, what I have to do, I have to pop out all of these A18, A17, A16, A15, A13, A7, B07, A10. I have to pop those out and I have to stick them into the side of the Star Destroyer's base. So A12 is the main chunk, this piece. And now I have to get all these supports for the left and right sides of the front of the Star. This is the front of the Star Destroyer. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And it's just a lot of punching out. So I'm going to go ahead and do that while you wait. And of course, for you, it's going to be a moment only. Okay, by the way, I'm going to mention this because I think their design is really good. You know, here in America, we read left to right, and we tend to read left to right, top to bottom. They have these things numbered. For example, here A18 is at the very front of the ship. This would be A18. So I went to the A sheet, right? Because you're going to find it on A. And what I've got going here is they did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it reads left to right, 9, 10, 11. It all reads top to bottom, 12, 13, 14, 17, 19. It all reads left to right, top to bottom. So to find a piece you want, it'll be labeled on the in the instructions, find A18. So A1 was up here, A18, if you just follow it in the left to right pattern, top to bottom, A18 was right down here. So that seems to be consistent throughout. All right, let me get back to it. Okay, I got the first set of these in. Really easy to do. There is one thing I wanted to show you though. Here, this part was A14. A14 actually has a bend. When you take this piece out, it's got a cut here and a cut a cut here and a cut here, so that it can turn, and it actually bends around the side and then clips in place on a tab that they have. So this piece went in, and I bent it along their curved lines, and I snapped it in place, and it worked perfectly. It's just of note, so I stopped there to show you. Let me go back to it. Okay, remember those tabs I showed you a minute ago? I have a piece of cardboard stuck in here. I'm going to use this to punch it out. Works great. Okay, I'm actually done with page 1 of the instructions. This is what I've got so far. This is super easy to build. It is so easy. I mean, really, like, kids could do this. This is fantastic. I have not been excited about a model kit in a very long time. Usually it's just a hassle and there's a lot of glue. This, like, it fixes every problem I ever had. It's quick. I've only been working on this thing a few minutes, really. It may seem like more because I stopped to talk to you, but this was just a few minutes of punching pieces in, and they just slide and lock right into place. Everything is fit exactly in place. Nice and tight. Everything feels firm. It feels solid. It's like a really nice construction. I'm very impressed. I will be buying more of these kits, and I haven't even finished the first section. But yeah, let me get back to it. Okay, once again, worthy of note. So this is page 2 I just finished of the instructions, and you get this, again, the superstructure for the second half of the Star Destroyer body. But I wanted to point this out here. This part, you're going to think, wait, everything else fit flush. Why didn't this fit flush? It's supposed to be this way. I don't know why yet. I know there's a reason. Because everything else has fit perfectly. The instructions actually show. They actually do show that, this has a little divot here. So there you go. It's supposed to be that way. All right, getting these cross beams in here. And so I did these, and now I'm going in with the parallel ones. This is on page 3. These are a little trickier to get in. There are tabs in here that you have to press down into. So you really need to hold both sides of the model when you press those tabs in place. And there is a gap here. When I saw the gap, I thought, is that right? And sure enough, yeah, that's correct. It needs to be there. All right, let me get back to it. Okay, worthy of note, at least for me, some of these pieces have, like this one has a little green arrow, little triangle on it. There's a matching triangle here. So I know that this triangle will go in here. I dropped you. All right, let me get that in place. Okay, of note, they use these green circles here, and the instructions show you that this green circle matches this green circle, but then this one also had a green circle. And the matching green circles on the opposite side on the wall. And the way you can tell the difference on the instruction sheet is it shows you here that that's on the wall, while over here it shows you it's on the body, it's on the flat. So that's how you can tell. That was a little confusing. Also, this piece, the tabs are up. They don't plug into the actual flat base. These are going to be a support structure for the next piece on top of it. All right, so I built this part of the body so far. And now the instruction sheet, when I was done putting these last bits in on page 3, here it gives you this flip. You've got to flip this thing over because we're gonna, I just put in all this structure. Now we got to do the same thing to the other side. So apparently they want you to flip it. Thus. All right, let me get back to it. All right, so some of these tab holes, they almost don't look like they're there. You have to, I looked at this thing like that one, I can't see it. I'm going to have to find it. These I had to punch out. And I have to say, I almost thought that they weren't there, but they are there. So there's one in here somewhere. I got to find it and punch it out. So they are there. You just got to find them. Yeah, this one was definitely more challenging to get in. This was piece J1. It was definitely, I had to find the holes and I had to really manhandle it. And you can see it's a little twisted, but it's infrastructure and it's holding well. But I did have to manhandle that a little bit. So be ready for that. But it's not a big deal. And it is coming along. Look at that, coming along. You know what? Some of the stuff is some of the parts, some of the holes are so well crafted. You almost can't see them. I am going to recommend you use a bladed screwdriver because when you try to push some of this stuff through, their cardboard tool fails. So I would recommend just you get a bladed screwdriver so that you can punch some of these holes out. It'll be a lot easier. Okay, we are now on page 5 of the instructions, so that's kind of cool. It's coming along. How long has it been? I've been working on this about an hour, and that includes me taking time to show you guys stuff. So maybe 45 minutes to get this structure done. Now I'm going to add the back panel and some side panels. It looks like page 5 is going to be quick. Yeah, still, it's easy to put together. It's actually quite a bit of fun. Don't be afraid to manhandle it. It's a very sturdy kit. So, don't be afraid to push and pull and tug and use your fingertips and whatnot. It's going to hold together. It's a good kit. I'm really enjoying this. So let me go on now. So I have used my first drop of glue. I put this piece on here on the side. This is part number C22. And I just don't want that to fall off. So I put a drop of glue on that. Okay, they say you can do this without tools. I am going to use this little tiny bladed screwdriver instead of these. These are just getting munched as I try to push parts out. The tolerances are all very exact, so you really need a tougher tool in this cardboard. So they say no tools required. Yeah, that's true. But if you want to save some time, just use a bladed screwdriver to punch stuff out instead of this cardboard, because this cardboard will just make you mad. All right, let me continue. Okay, I want to show you what's going on here. So here we've got infrastructure being built already. Got the back panel on it. I put the side panels on it, and I glued all of the side panels. I want those to I want to make sure those stay on. Those side panels, they do have tabs. You can see they are tabbed in place. And all I did was put a little drop of the glue they provided on the tabs. I just don't want those to fall off. And one of them had a tendency to just kind of flap off. With the glue, it stays solidly in place. So I'm really happy with this right now. All right, let me continue. All right, now I've got the front parts on. Yeah, it's really starting to come along. And the detail is actually excellent. If you look here, even close up, it looks really great. So, all right, let me continue. Okay, this is kind of cool. Check this out. After I put the pieces together to the siding panels and whatnot, I've got to the bottom of page 6, and it actually tells you there are no more pieces left on sheet D. And I double checked it, and that is correct. There are no more pieces left on sheet D. So really neat. That's kind of a cool deal there. So I'm getting rid of sheet D now, and there aren't very many left on sheet C either. So we're moving right along. All right, let me continue. Okay, another thing, you really need to make sure when you build these sub-assemblies, I just built this sub-assembly here, this one on page 7. When you put these in place, make sure they snap down. You want to hear it go click. And I did have to use the screwdriver to make sure that those holes were opened up. But yeah, it snapped down in place really nicely. I just make sure you should hear kind of a pop, a snap when it goes in place and it locks in well. That's all. I will keep building. Okay, I put the H02. That's the top of the front of the Star Destroyer. I put that on. This was kind of a challenge. You have to bend it, and there are a lot of pins, a lot of slots here. And some of them just don't want to go in without bending the cardboard underneath. For example, this slot, I couldn't even get this slot to go in. It's just bent. It won't go in. And then over here, this panel keeps popping off. So a little frustrating there. That's the only frustration I've run into so far. But let me continue here. Okay, just because I didn't like having a hole there, I took one of the fluffy piece, the fluffs, the pieces that fall out when you punch them out. I took a piece of that cardboard and I glued it in place here to cover the hole. Anyway, all right, let me continue. Okay, so some of this actually there are some problems with some of the tabs not wanting to snap in place. So you're gonna have to watch out for that. I'm actually tempted in a couple of areas to use hot glue. And maybe you'll want to do that. I'm not going to do that, I think, because I want to build it as close to with what they gave us as possible. Only their glue, and of course I'm going to use this little screwdriver, which has been the best thing. You definitely need a little bladed screwdriver. All right, let me continue. So here's what I'm doing with the, popping out of these pieces here. Just pop them out, boom, like that. And there's plenty of them. I just wanted you to see what I'm using the screwdriver for. You just pop these little bits out. That's all. And it really is coming along. Look at this. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. A couple of minor frustrating bumps here, but they didn't last very long. So let me continue. All right, let me show you guys some progress here. I have put the bottom panels on, completing page 7. And this is what I've got so far. So this is, it's big, and the pieces do snap pretty well into place. You can see there's a lot of detail here. Let me Let me zoom in. They did a nice job on the shadows. That's flat. The shadows are all part of the printing. So they've done a terrific job making it look like a 3D item. This is actually in there. I built that substructure. But yeah, it's holding together well, and so far so good. It looks really cool. All right, let me zoom out and let me continue building. All right, in the background, that's the engines being put in place, just so you can see. The assemblies are very easy to put together. Those went in perfectly, no problems at all. It looked like it was going to be very intricate, but it wasn't. It actually worked great. So, all right, let me continue. Hey guys, be mindful. They do have each piece has its number on it. There's K03. And you could accidentally put that K03 sticking outside so that people could see it. Make sure that as best as you can, make sure the pieces are hidden, the piece names are hidden. All right, just a little follow-up here. This is the engine structure in the back that I've managed to put in here. And it's coming along really well. These pieces were actually easier to put together and put in than snapping the top of the hull on, or the bottom hull. But yeah, coming along really well. Let's see. Get my fingers out of the way. Looks cool. All right, guys, so putting this engine together was probably the biggest problem I've had. These pieces don't fit super tight. So I had to, when I got them in there, I splayed them open with the screwdriver. I splayed these edges open so that it holds. You could use glue, but really I think splaying them open is even better. I did put a little bit of glue in there, but splay those. All right, so page 12, there's this thing you have to wrap together. And this is the most challenging bit I've had to do. And in fact, I put a piece of tape on it. Just a piece of tape to hold it together because it's going to fly apart. This is probably the most challenging part so far in the whole build. But I used a piece of Scotch tape, that's all. Thought I'd show you the engines. You put them together and click these bits down here. And when you're done, you end up with this, which does actually hold together really well. That's the part I had to display earlier. All right, back to it. All right, so I don't know why they made this design the way they did here for the engines, but it's a train wreck. This was really, really hard. In fact, it was impossible to put this together. I had to stuff the pieces in there and then tape it together down here in an area that's going to be hidden by the back engines. This will be your, I think, most challenging piece, and there are 3 of them. I've built 2 of them so far. One of them went together pretty easily, but it wouldn't hold, so I needed tape. This one was a train wreck. So what the problem is that they want you to take these cogs and then wrap this cardboard around 2 pieces simultaneously. And they don't fit quite right, and you have to stretch it. So you can't stretch cardboard, right? It'll rip, it'll tear. So that was a problem. And then the holes didn't quite line up because you have to stretch this. So this part on page 12, I'm sorry, it's not page 12, but part number 12 and part number 13 and part number 14, that is the most challenging thing you're going to build. Now look, however you make that work, this part of the engine has a long stick. Let me show you. It has a stick here, and you have to push it into this cylinder after you've built the cylinder, and it ends up like this. The picture's a little deceiving because the arrow they have points to the other side, but in here there's a small slot, and then in the front there's a large slot, and these have a large slot. So you put it through the large slot, pin it to the back small slot, and then this will ultimately go in the back of the Star Destroyer, and these pins will lock this in place to the body of the Star Destroyer. Again, I used tape here. You can see it. Most of that tape's going to be hidden. Only this engine piece from here up is going to be seen on the back of the engine as far as I can tell, but I'll show you in a bit. Anyway, there you go. I splayed those open, these slots, because otherwise it just falls open. All right, here we go. Okay, now here's another issue I've run into. Putting the center engine into this, it does not want, it's, here, let me show you. There are these tabs that have to go into the wall of the back of the Star Destroyer. Well, you can't see them here for the center. So I actually had to pull this center engine part out so that I could see where the holes were. Didn't have any trouble with the far right. I don't expect to have any trouble with the far left, but that center engine, I had to pull this assembly out so that I could see the holes and then make adjustments to the engine itself when I pushed it back in. So that's something to watch out for. I think the engine construction is probably their most challenging part. I think I don't think it was well thought out. I'm not sure how they could fix it, but this is going to be, I think, your most challenging part of the build. But anyway, I'm going to put that other engine in, and then I'm going to move on to the next part. Yeah, as I expected, it just slid right in because you can see, right? I can see what I'm doing. But for the center part, you cannot see. You cannot see what you're doing. So there's no way to get these whole slots in place properly because you can't see what you're doing. There's just no way. So yeah, you're probably going to have to do what I did. Take this assembly, slide it out a little bit, and then put the engine in place, lock the engine in place, and slide the assembly back in. That's what I think you're going to have to do. That's what I had to do. All right, here's a progress photo, or progress. Here's where I am now. I've got the back engines in. Got most of the structure, all the infrastructure, of course, is in. I just put in the front top plate, and then on the bottom, we've got this whole thing built already. So I'm putting on the top plates now, so this infrastructure is going to be covered. And then I guess I start building, let's see, yeah, I start building the top. There's a second structure that goes on top, you know, the second level to this ship. All right, so let me get on it. All right, also, I am putting glue on these tabs for this, for the pieces of hull that I'm putting on top. I just don't want anything to be loose. Interestingly, some parts go in and snap really well. I had no trouble with the front part. I had some trouble with the center part, and then the back two panels, these snapped in perfectly. Like there was no problem at all here. In the center panel, the top piece here, this top side, I guess, this went in hard while, I'm sorry, this side went in easily while this was hard to do. I had to do some pushing and pulling and twisting here, but this one went in no problem. And then these just like snapped right in place. So I think once the structure starts to get tight as you pull pieces together, everything in the infrastructure lines up. So it's easier to put these big panels on. It's easy to put the front panel on, but this center panel on the bottom in particular, this was a little more difficult. But it's coming together now. Both sides are built. There's the bottom, you know, there's the cargo bay. All right, so now I am on to step 16, building some of the structure on the bottom of the ship. Let's do that. All right, so here's some more what I'm doing here. They're having me work on the bottom of this thing. This is a single piece that folds up or folds down rather. and there's a piece inside, one little bar that attaches, and then this piece folds over and sticks down. There are holes, slots all the way around. This piece here, you've got to make sure that's lined up or you're going to mess this up. So I was very careful here. I made sure that that stayed in the slot. I used my screwdriver underneath to make sure that I had pressed that over and that lined up, and I started to press that in place, and then I used my screwdriver to guide each one of these slots in place. So that's on the bottom. These other pieces, this is like a 3D piece here and another 3D piece here. These all went in really easily. This was a breeze. So it's progressing a lot faster now that the engines are done. This is super cool, but you got to be careful. They also give you pieces here and here. You're covering up some of the slots and some of the work that went into the infrastructure. This also covers up a bunch of stuff. This is a piece. This is another piece here. And it makes sure it lines up. But it really gives a nice three-dimensional look. This goes all the way back, and it covers a lot of the work that went on inside. So some of these holes got covered up, and I really like that. It looks like there's another one that goes over here. I'm almost at that point. So yeah, this is coming along well. I think they did a terrific job on the detail. Look at the panel work, and that's all part of the print. So they've done an excellent job here. I'm having a lot more fun here towards the end. Those engines really, whew, I'm not gonna point off for those engines. But okay, let's get back to it. All right, it's getting real. Here's the top coming along, and now this is like the control center. So I am gonna build this up right now, and stuff just folds up. It's really nice. It's very well done. Okay, let's do it. Okay, this is really cool. It's starting to look like a Star Destroyer. All right, look at that. And now there's a piece that goes on top to cover this entire area. But yeah, this looks really neat. Beautifully done. Now it's just moving very quickly. After the engines, everything went quick. And more progress. You do have to be careful here with the, let me try and get rid of these shadows. And my phone was dying, so I had to plug it in. Make sure you're lined up and maybe don't lock down these pieces on the side. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 pegs here, slots. Make sure that this stuff gets lined up first. You've got a few here, and you've got to really get inside and maybe move them with the screwdriver a little bit so that they line up, so that the slots on the top settle in correctly. Then over here, you got to make sure these slot in, and these slot in. I actually had some trouble with these. They're bent on the back. So these didn't slot in quite right. I'm going to try and fix that right now. Everything else went in good. It's nice and tight. It looks good. Let's go on to the next part. All right, so here's where we are now. Got these bits in. And these bits went in. So it's coming along. The next part, it looks like I've got to put the top on this bit here. Yeah, coming along. This is much faster now. And I'll make sure to do some flybys for you, of course, when we're all done. But here we go. So far, so good. Let me get that out of the way here. We're in my kitchen. Welcome to my home. We're just having fun. All right. Here we go. Okay, so here we've got a little more detail built in. I just put these parts in here, here, and here. You can see they really make it look 3D. And if you get close, you can see it's got tremendous detail. I mean, it actually looks like lights are on and chambers are going. It's really quite cool. And then I just put this part on at the front. So now you can see we've got a ship going that is multiple levels high. A lot of layers going on here. Yeah, it looks super cool. All right, let's continue. So sometimes you put parts in, and this is a good thing. I mean, sometimes you'll put parts in and they make a squishy noise, squeaky noise. Let me see if I can make it do it. Anyway, the parts will go in place and you'll know they'll just go squeak like a squeegee. Anyway, it's super satisfying. All right, let me show you what we've got so far. I just did this side. I don't know how we're going to cover these holes up, if we do at all. Those got punched out at the very beginning, so I assume something goes there. We'll see. We're getting close. Hey, so it looks like some of the tabs that came through from the bottom are actually important later. They pop out of the hull and you have to lay other parts on them. I'm actually having to use glue because some of those tabs that I had underneath did not come all the way through. So there you go. Make sure if you can do it, make sure your tabs pop through because there are layers that go on top that will need some of those tabs that were underneath. In other words, some of the tabs that hold the first section of hull in place, those tabs pop up. Here, let me show you. They pop up like this. And then those are actually necessary to hold overlay parts that go on top. So I put some glue underneath because some of my tabs did not come all the way through. Okay, everybody, another thing I'm learning is don't pull parts out just to have them in hand. It's much easier to just follow the directions, and when they tell you you need a part, go pull that part. You will not save time if you try to pull parts out because a lot of them are the same, a lot of them are interchangeable, but maybe they're not. Anyway, just follow the directions and only pull parts when you absolutely need them and when you're ready to put them in place so that you don't get confused. All right, let me continue. All right, so here's some more details. I've got these parts now in the front. It's all very 3D. This is raised. This was a little challenge here. You gotta be careful here. There's 1, 2, 3 parts here. And then I've got this side done. These are all parts here that go up to make it raised. So it's really beautiful. All right, let's do the other side. I was right. They did have a piece that does cover these holes here, so I'll be putting that on in a moment. Also, the bridge is going on in a moment. Okay, so now I've got the bridge in place. That was easy to put together, actually. Just folding cardboard to 3 pieces. And then got these side panels on. And lots of the little bits. So the ship itself is almost complete. There's not a whole lot left. I think there's some parts that go on top here that you remember from the movies, and then after that, let's see. There's the big part here. There's the dome over here, and then I think it's on to the stand. So let me go do that. Okay, guys. Here's another unnecessarily difficult part. This I cannot focus. This is the radio tower, that goes up on the top. And I'll tell you what, they really blew it here. This is another one that unnecessarily difficult to build. The pieces are extremely flimsy, and this is just a terrible, terrible, horrible piece. They need to fix this because this is visible. I mean, you're going to see this. So mine almost looks okay, but mostly it's just a problem. But you'll see when it's all done. So this is what it looks like after I put it on. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not great either. So this is something this really needs to be a simpler part. That was about as frustrating as the engines, but I didn't have to use any tape. I did use glue though. And by the way, the glue they give you is not super glue, so it's not going to stick right away. I think if you're going to use glue, maybe have some super glue nearby so that you can make some of this stuff happen immediately, make it glue down immediately. All right, let me continue. All right, so here we go. Now I've got the two towers up there. Yes, two towers, I said it. Plus the control, what is that, radar? I don't remember, sensors. Anyway, that's all there. But look at the detail. That's all printed, and they made it look like it's 3D. It really is pretty cool. All right, so the second one here that I built up went a little bit easier than this one. This one was a nightmare. This one was bad, but not as bad as that one. And I was a little more careful here because it tears very easily. But it's looking pretty good there. So let's see. There's not a whole lot left. Some more engine stuff, and then the stand, and I think we're all set. So let's get to it. Okay, so it turns out those holes get filled with turrets. Super cool. And those are two pieces. There's a base, and then the turret is actually one piece that bends. And you end up with turrets that look like that. Really neat. So now I got to do the other side. All right, at this point, the instruction sheets tell me that I'm done. All that's left at this point is the base, the stand. So I am going to go ahead and build the stand, and then I guess there's also some. Well, here are the parts that are left. These are what I'm a little confused about. These go on the back. These are more engines. I need to click those in place and then build the stand, and then I'll put this in a nicer spot, and we'll get a whole look at the ship. We'll do a flyby. All right, so let's build the rest of the stand, and then I'll come back. All right, it is done. So there's the front stand. It's a smaller one. Smaller meaning the front end has a thinner Y to it. You can see there that one's got a thicker Y to it. Yeah, this is really cool. So here we go. It's a beautiful kit. It took, let's see, it's 5:30 my time. I started at 11:30. So 6 hours. It took me 6 hours to get this done. And it's got great details to it. Yeah, they did a beautiful job. So my thoughts, they need to do something, I think, about these two pieces here. I think those were unnecessarily difficult to build. And the engines, these three, unnecessarily difficult to build because they had other stuff like this bridge was only 3 pieces, and it folded and it manipulated very easily into the proper position. Everything slotted properly. So why did you need 6 pieces here, or literally what, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10? Each one of these towers is like 10 or 11 pieces. Why? You could have done this in 2 pieces. So those are the only gripes I have. Other than that, it was tremendous fun to build this. I mean, I haven't built them all. I'm not really. This is the first cardboard kit I've ever built, and I have to say, I would do this again. And if I'm going to knock off any points for them, stars, if you will, it's going to be that they could make just a couple of parts a little easier. And other than that, I would say this is a 9 out of 10. This is a 9 out of 10. If I don't want to go with stars because everybody does 5 stars. and I'd have to give them 4 stars or 4.5 stars, and that's just dumb. If I'm going to give them 4.5 stars, why don't I just go with a 10-point scale? So I will give this a 9 out of 10. I really like it. I think it's beautiful. I think it's well done. I think a 12-year-old could build it if they're patient, and they've, you just got to be careful with the towers and the engines. And if you're willing to put a little bit of tape around the engines, you're good. I did put some glue up here, and I did put some glue in here just to make sure that those hold. And, other than that, it sits well on the stand. I guess I should show you the bottom of it. Let me lift it off here, and hopefully it doesn't break in my hands. But the bottom is very nicely done. There are no cargo bay doors, for all of you who want to ask. And, oh, by the way, the scale of this ship for use with the Star Wars, sorry, the Star Wars miniatures game, the X-Wing miniatures game, this would make an amazing piece to play with that. Amazing piece to play with that. In fact, let me go grab one and I'll come right back. Okay, so I'm going to show you this ship next to a Z-Wing. So here it is next to a Z-Wing, which is basically the same size as an X-Wing. And I think it makes for a good scale for combat. Yeah, okay, so maybe it wouldn't be an Imperial Star Destroyer, but, you're not going to get much closer. Here it is next to a Y-Wing. So there's the Z-Wing, there's the Y-Wing, there's a couple more. I think this would be tremendous fun to play, where you can assault the Star Destroyer. I really think this is a great way to go. So there you go. Yep, 9 out of 10. I really like this ship. I like the build. It's a great size. It is big. You're going to have to find a home for it. If this goes into one of my rooms, I'll probably be sleeping in the garage from now on. But yeah. But there you go. I 9 out of 10. Do I recommend it? Yeah. They sell this thing for like $55. So is it worth it? Yeah. Put it together for 6 hours. Enjoy your Saturday afternoon and put together a Imperial Star Destroyer. I mean, even the base looks cool. And both bases say Star Wars Imperial Star Destroyer. There's some cleanup, right? I got all this nibbledy stuff here I got to get rid of. But other than that, the ship itself really gives you some detail. I think it's totally worth it. At the price, I would say it's a steal. You just got to get past 2 little bits of frustration, and other than that, I think you're going to have a lot of fun building it. Totally worth it. $55? Yeah, definitely. I say yes. All right, that's it. 9 out of 10 for me. I love it. It's beautiful. It's usable. It actually doesn't look like a cardboard kit from here. It looks like it's made of either styrene or, other plastics or metal. It's beautiful. I think you're really going to love it. So highly recommended. I say, yay, go get it. Go get it for sure. All right, Gomsy out till next time.